Morning, gents.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone. This is MDRT Zoom for April 2025. If you've not been on this Zoom before, welcome. And if you're returning, as I recognise a few of your faces, I hope you're going to get some great value out of this morning's session. I want to jump straight in, but before I do, I'm going to keep this nice and tight. And we aim to finish either at 9 or before 9 so that you can get on with the rest of your day. Good news of the day, if you haven't already picked it up, the US market is up 10% overnight. So great news for all those people that are worried about clients ringing in. So diving straight in, for those of you that are perhaps not aware, we have Simon Lister on the call this morning, who is on the running to be president of MDRT. For those that are in MDRT, they will absolutely know how huge that is. And those that maybe not in MDRT, I can tell you now this is massive because the UK hits really big in the global stage for financial services. So I'm going to jump straight in. Simon, how are you today then, Simon?
I'm very well, thank you, Martin. Particularly after what you said. I mean, I did make me think we should always finish a call on a high. So maybe we should finish now after what you said about the US markets,
Yeah, maybe, but we're not here for that. So let's just dive in, Simon. Let's look behind the scenes about Simon. Tell us a little about yourself, your family, and your business, and your journey into MDRT.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been a member of MDRT since 2008. 2008 was my first meeting in Toronto. And for those MDRT members on the call, I think you always remember your first meeting. I'm probably pretty much like most of you. I'm an independent financial advisor. I have my own business with my business partner, Craig McClurg, who should be on the call somewhere, probably looking a bit sheepish. We have a firm of about 22. We went from 3 advisors last year to 5 advisors this year. Pretty ordinary and standard, based in Norfolk. So well out of the way of anywhere. So whenever I'm in the US, I would say I'm just outside of London because they've got a greater idea about where I am. Married with 2 kids. So yeah, so very kind of bog standard. But had an amazing relationship with MDRT literally since my first meeting. And I remember falling in love with MDRT on the Monday morning, which is when main platform started back then. It doesn't anymore, but that's when it started back then. And and it's just continued from there, really.
Awesome. So tell me, what was the spark? Those that are not in MDRT would be certainly interested in somebody that's been a member for nearly 20 years. So what was your spark that got you to go in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, with respect, you're probably old enough to remember the days of the LIA, and that probably is really what kick-started it for me. In as much as I was starting off on my advising journey, I was in my 20s. I was writing what I thought to be reasonable business levels, but had a real thirst to learn. And was at the LIA and saw Tony Gordon and a few other members, in particular. And then reached out to Tony to ask if he'd kind of mentor me in a nutshell, see if he could take me to another level. And one of the things that Tony told me to do was to kind of go to MDRT. And, I won't lie, when I first joined MDRT, to be a bit mercenary, it was all about just writing more business. It's what it kind of came back to. That's the reason why I went to Toronto, with a pure desire in order to try and find ways in order to write more business and see more clients and get more clients. And that's kind of really where it started. But it quickly evolved. Don't get me wrong, it does help you write more business, or certainly it's helped me write more business in my practice, write more business over the years, but definitely evolved from there. And, in so many different areas with regards to the community, and today is a great example of that. But, you know what it's like when you're in the States, it's with the international aspect of it, you get to learn so much, and I have a real thirst for knowledge. I kind of always had done. I mean, I was a trainee actuary back before I was advising with Norwich Union back then, and therefore always had a kind of desire to learn. And with MDRT, kind of you learn so much. I think you get so energized as well. I'm pretty self-motivated, but it just takes you to another level. I remember Simon Gibson saying to me in my early years, for those of you that know Simon, that he uses MDRT as like that mid-year recharge, and that really resonated with me, and that's kind of how I feel about it.
Interesting. We'll just park that actuary to financial advisor thing. I'm not quite sure how that happened.
There's a few jokes there, isn't there? So
there certainly is, certainly is. So clearly, MDRT has been part of your journey, clearly not the only thing. And it has helped your business, as it has helped many people's businesses that are in the room today. But what lies ahead for you in terms of the next 4 years as you're in your running towards becoming president globally? Just reiterate that to everybody in the room. Global president of MDRT. What's going to happen over the next 4 years for you?
yeah, I'm just kind of being passed the baton. I mean, I remember, Ian Green saying about how, past President Ian Green, who again we're very lucky, to have in the UK, saying about how, previous presidents of and executive committees have kind of planted the seeds, and our job is to continue to kind of help it grow and make sure it grows in the right direction. And that's very much the journey I would say I'm on. I mean, one of the things that I'm most excited about, sincerely, is I've found that whatever I've given to MDRT, I've always kind of got back tenfold. And that's not why I've done it, but that's just kind of what factually has happened. But I know that there's been a major focus and a huge investment, particularly around technology and the digital transformation within MDRT, to not go away from being an organization that has amazing meetings. That will definitely continue, but really trying to evolve to, enhance to a whole new level, the level of member value proposition, as I would kind of call it, what you can learn, what you can continue to do away from the meeting. There's been a lot of money spent, and I know that MDRT is now starting to kind of see the benefits and how it's going to kind of drive that through. So I think it's an incredibly exciting next sort of 5.5 years, which is what it'll end up being for me, to kind of be part of that and seeing that continue to grow.
Fantastic. So you've obviously got a lot from this journey. There are many people coming behind you and I. If you could just give them one tip for those that are following in your footsteps, what would you say to anybody coming in now?
Yeah, I mean, I may be a bit, but I mean, I would definitely be part of MDRT, but really be part of it, commit. I would volunteer. I would kind of get involved in as much as, I mean, MDRT for me has become an amazing, almost like leadership training plan, I think would be the best way to kind of describe it. Craig and I started the business, and there was him and I and 2 or 3 others. And once we kind of had roles, we were doing multiple things, and it really has helped evolve, not just going to the meetings, but actually volunteering, them training you, getting to deal with many people from different cultures, the things you kind of get to learn, the structures that they give you. So the more you get involved, the more you kind of end up getting back. And like I say, our business has benefited massively from MDRT, not just attending the meetings, not just with the content, but the fact that getting involved has taught me incredible lessons that's enabled us to kind of manage our business and change things within our business and evolve our business to take our business to a whole new level from that point of view, compared to what it probably ever could have been. So commit.
So it's quite clear, and I think I know enough about you, Simon, that you're running a business that's probably a cut above a lot of advisors in the UK. What's your secret sauce? What has, and I know my MDRT is part of that journey, but do you have a secret sauce that you've been able to replicate time and time again to really grow your practice and into that whole person concept?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that we've done is really focus on implementation of the ideas that we get, and it's almost marginal gains in so many different areas, Martin, if I'm being completely honest. And I was kind of reflecting coming into this call as what you were going to kind of ask me from that perspective. And I hope it was going to be more of a kind of Parky Muhammad Ali kind of discussion as preferred to Parky Meg Ryan, from that point of view, for those that kind of remember that. But yeah, really having discipline, really looking at implementing and listening and learning and having that thrive and that thirst to continue trying to evolve. And that's been a big thing for us as a business, is kind of knowing that whatever we've achieved. I remember when we were first started, we were court of the table members, and I'd never heard of court of the table. We were writing what we were writing. We qualified for MDRT, went along and heard about this thing called court of the table. And then as soon as we kind of arrived, I suddenly found out about this thing called Top of the Table. And again, I was quite a motivated individual. I openly admit I first went there in order to try and write more business. And you know, the things that we learned in that first meeting, you know, which was mid-year as it always is, you know, it's June, enabled me to go from a kind of a quarter of the table member to a top of the table member by the end of the year. And that was really by listening, learning, being prepared to change, but most importantly, actually committing and implementing. And I think implementation is the biggest thing that you can do. I think having a plan about what you want to get from MDRT, as in what you're trying to do with regards to your business, whether it be you as as an individual, you as a sole trader, or what, I don't know. And ironically, I think one of the wonderful things is that probably less is more. And that's the thing that MDRT has taught me, is that I was a 60, 80 hour a week advisor when I first done Top of the Table. It was the way that I did it. It was purely and simply about, you know, some great ideas, some concepts, enabled me to get new clients, which I implemented. And then I did volume, just made sure I did, you know, loads of appointments in order to implement, you know. And I can honestly say, whilst I still kind of have an incredibly energy and thirst for the business, I work less now than I ever have done, and I do more. And that has been, you know, some of that's because of time, but that has been because of implementation of ideas. You know, there's, and some stuff is really kind of simple that we do, but it works. And I think one of the great things is, and we probably all fall foul of this, is sometimes what you do is you do something within a business, you do something as an individual, it's working, and then for some stupid reason you stop doing it. And one of the things that MDRT enables me to do, particularly with that kind of annual journey that I go on as a minimum, it enables me to reset, reflect. I always have a target about what I kind of want to achieve, where we are as a business, where I am as a person, and what, you know, I'm trying to do. And the whole person has been huge for me with regards to that. I mean, my first annual meeting, coincidentally, was my son would have been a year old. You know, so then going to my wife and saying, oh, you know, by the way, Tan, I'm now going to go to Toronto for a week for a financial services conference with a 1-year-old, was, to say she was a little bit skeptical may have been an understatement. Let's probably kind of put it that way. As you know, as much as you try and justify it and you say it with you know, your hand on your heart, it does sound quite glamorous. But when you're actually kind of there, and then when I came back and she saw the kind of difference it made, and the difference it's kind of made over the years, and you know, to the whole family. Ironically, one of the sort of silly things that I brought from, and I say silly things, is that I came back from MDRT one year, you know, and particularly having younger children. So, I mean, my children now are 13 and 18, but like I say, they were younger back then. But being in a situation where they had to earn their tech. So one of the ideas was, you know, you do 25 minutes of reading and the benefits that kind of has. And we brought that in as a family rule. The children had to do a minimum of 25 minutes reading every day, just something so simple, so basic, but, you know, really has helped me, has helped my family, has helped my children. You know, and there are many things, you know, along those lines. And again, trying to be a better husband and better father by thinking of, you know, the lessons that I've learned from MDRT and the ground that it provides. Yes, it is about business, don't get me wrong, but it's far more than that.
I've got a newfound respect and admiration for Mrs. Lister now, allowing you to go away with a 1-year-old. I'm not sure many of us would have got away with that. But anyway, I've got one last question for you, Simon. And in the true spirit of MDRT, just give us one idea that maybe can help some of the new people in the room, some of the old stagers like me, just a very simple idea that's helped you grow your practice.
Yeah, I mean, something I think has been instrumental for us within the business, and there are many things, by the way. So actually, this is probably the hardest question of today, to try and pick one. But probably the one most fundamental that we do is that we get all clients, which came from, ironically, MDRT, but a UK member. We get all clients before they come on board with us to fill in a pre-meeting questionnaire. And a pre-meeting questionnaire is like a really short and fact find. Is the best way to kind of articulate it. I'll happily share it with people. We'll happily share it with people. So,
Please do.
Yeah. So Martin has my email address. We can ping it to you. But it really enables us to do a few things. So one, you know, as I said, we used to be 3 advisors. We're now 5, and actually, it starts to act as a bit of a filtering process with regards to who that client is kind of best to go to. You know, ironically, you know, and I think a good example of that is that me personally, so we did more than this as a business. by using this concept last year, I only brought on 6 new clients. That's all I did throughout the whole of the year, which was purely targeted. That's kind of the way that we wanted it to be. And that was partially because of this pre-meeting questionnaire, because it enabled us to make sure we allocated the right advisor for the right type of client to everybody else. It really starts to, more importantly, make the client think about the journey that you're on, that we are there to serve them. But at the same time, I'm a great believer that clients have to take a degree of responsibility for their own finances and start to think about the journey, not just turn up and without any idea about what's going to kind of happen. So this pre-meeting questionnaire gives us some core information. It means that we don't spend time asking for some basic information, but actually it really starts to set some goals from the client as to what they want to achieve with their finances, what they want to achieve for their life. And it means that our first meetings are really just conversational, purely and simply about what they've kind of put on the form and probing about what they're trying to achieve with their finances. Things like products are just kind of our toolkit in order to deliver them where they want to get to. So it's really about enhancing that financial planning journey. And it's enabled us to do 2 things, really. So one, it enables us to really filter the clients. And there are some that we just know we're not a good fit for, and it enables us to make that decision really early and can have a really nice conversation and refer them to other people, as well as looking after them in-house. But 2, and probably, most importantly for us, is it really kind of gets clients to get an ownership. If they're not prepared to, which very few do, by the way, as in don't fill it in, they're not prepared to fill it in. We've deemed they're not taking their finances seriously, and therefore they don't get a meeting from that point of view. And actually, and we are that strict over it. The amount of people that fill it in, therefore, is incredible. In honesty, and it just brings so much more value to the first meeting. And I think that I know that, not saying MDRT members, but a lot of advisors in the UK aren't doing it, and it actually starts to become a real differentiator. Because the first meeting doesn't, yes, you still need to collate some information and expand upon what they've put on the form, but it becomes far more conversational about what they're trying to achieve. And it starts to differentiate you between some of your peers, particularly locally. And I know the amount of, to be honest, advisors that we've come up against that we've won business over. And I think that is one of the reasons, because it just means our conversations are completely different to most.
That's really interesting. I did say that was my final question, but you've really piqued my interest here. Just a quick question about what you're doing there, because I'm really interested in that. Is that pre-meeting questionnaire automated when somebody books into your calendar, or is somebody in your team happy to send that out to them?
It's Gareth Chalk on the call, so I probably need his help with regards to this. We don't do it automated, so yeah, you can fill it online. And we bespoke that to clients. So if they want a paper version, we give them a paper version. If they want the online version, but literally, as soon as the meeting is booked, and I don't book any of my client meetings, just so you know. So actually, what happens is they speak to one of my team, they book my client meetings for me, and as soon as the client meeting is booked, as soon as the client gets in touch, the pre-meeting questionnaire goes out. As soon as they return it, the meeting is then allocated to the right advisor, and the meeting is booked. And that's the kind of way that it works. So ironically, actually, I have very little involvement with the clients until they've completed that pre-meeting questionnaire.
Brilliant. That's worth being on the call today just for that bit there. Just as an aside to that great tip from Simon there, please join us next month, because we are going to be running a not dissimilar meeting next month, but we're going to have a lineup of the best MDRT and possibly international members of MDRT that are going to share with us one of their top tips. So thank you very much, Simon. It's awesome to have you on the call, and I'll be eagerly watching your journey over the next 4 years. We're all really very proud of you for getting to that position, because it's no easy feat. So
it's not just me, Martin, I can assure you. There's
I'm sure, but you've got to put the time and the effort in. Thank you anyhow, Simon.
Thanks,
so
everyone.
I'm just going to hand over to Chris now, who's going to, because we want to keep this fast paced, we want to hand over to Chris so he can hand over to our next speaker this morning. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Martin. And yes, I'd like to introduce Rohan Sivajoti of Next Gen Planners, whose talk will be about modern marketing, how to get your eyes on the prize, deliver the bold, innovative strategies niche firms are using to attract millions in new AUM every month. Good morning, Rohan.
Good morning, Chris. At least my voice is working. I must apologize in advance. I am loaded with cold. Anything could happen on this call. So if I have to turn my camera off to get rid of various things that are falling out of my face, I'm sorry in advance. But great to see you, Chris. Thank you very much for the invite. Really appreciate it.
No, over to you, mate.
Yeah, all good. Okay. Well, look, really good to be here. Always loved the MDRT from the outside. I've never actually been to a meeting, but love the growth mindset. Growth mindset is something I've just always been obsessed with, both personally and professionally. It led to me almost being sacked from the world's second largest asset manager, because I got into Twitter early days and tried to get clients via Twitter, which apparently was against social media policy. I didn't know that, but I almost got sacked for it. I then set up my own IFA practice. There was a lot about the profession that I didn't like, in terms of the quality of events, the quality of audiences, and there was nowhere really I felt I was going to grow. So started a community myself called Next Gen Planners. That helped me to build my business to 4 locations and exit that at 34 years old, about 4 years ago now. And we have Next Gen today, 2,000 or so members, and it's all about growth mindset, growth community, and my part is about winning more business. So I just thought today I'd give you a few examples. Some of the firms that I work with that I've helped launch over the past few years. I've launched about 180 firms now over the past 3 years. And just talk about the ones that are having some wins, where they're having some wins, and how they're bringing in new clients. I appreciate this might not be for everybody. And apparently, according to these AI note takers, I talk at 200 words a minute. I also live in a place called Darlington in the north, referred to as Monte Darlo. It is gloriously warm here because of that reason. So if you can't understand me as well, I do apologize, but here we are. So some of these firms and the things that they're doing. So then, and by the way, this all links into one thing which I will talk about at the end as well. So one of the firms that I'm currently working with, so they have a very specific, I'm sure niche has been talked about a million times on the MDRT, but a very specific niche that they work with. And working with a niche obviously has its disadvantages and advantages, but very, very clear advantages in this case. So this person in particular works with musicians. So we're talking about your Sabrina Carpenters and the like. That was me trying to be cool, by the way. I'm definitely not that cool or young or whatever. So he works with loads of musicians, DJs, this kind of thing. This is his niche. This is his financial services niche. He's got a very awesome monthly proposition that he runs with these people because the way their royalties work and all the rest of it. It's very cool. But he uses Instagram a lot, and he's invested a lot of money into Instagram and into short form content. And his current run rate from Instagram over the past year now is he's averaging around about 3.5 million a month. He's a one-person firm with some outsource support and that, but his average in the past year now is about 3.5 million a month. It's really, really consistent, just because he understands that his clients are in that space and he can create the content to get himself aligned with those people and the kind of things that they want to see. Another firm we're working with, they're doing about 2 million a month on TikTok at the moment. Their thing is, it's a very weird niche of client. It's kind of like the best way to describe it is kind of like the Aldi, like like almost like an Aldi Temu-y kind of thing, where it's like they kind of copy famous brands and stuff like that, and basically remake and remodel a lot of the stuff that's going on, but within the kitchen world. So basically all these famous kitchens out there and that kind of stuff, they basically sell copies of these kitchens and parts for kitchens and things like that. He's doing, and apparently there are a number of businesses who do that. There's some incredible niches in the world, right? And his average run rate now on TikTok's about 2 million a month. And then one of the biggest wins, actually there's two more. One of the other biggest wins is YouTube. So we've got a firm doing loads of YouTube shorts at the moment. And YouTube shorts is actually a relatively newish concept, and is just gaining in popularity loads and loads and loads. And he's on about 4 million a month at the moment in terms of run rate that's going through there. And again, incredibly niche business. His is all to do with the seaside, and it's to do with companies that provide beach stuff around the world. And he uses YouTube to review beaches around the world and stuff like this. And part of that is that, yeah, he now does 4 million a month via YouTube, via these businesses. So there's some incredible niches out there. It's absolutely like insane. But like just shows if you can leverage these platforms properly, and you can leverage them well, that the business is most definitely out there. You know, there is no shortage of clients or no shortage of work out there. It's just knowing how to get to these places. Coming away from video and shorts for a second, because the one thing I'll talk about with all that content, with Instagram, with TikTok, with YouTube, for example, obviously you have to meet your type of clients where they are. I appreciate not everybody's clients are going to be on TikTok, on Instagram, all that. I'm not on TikTok or Instagram. I don't have any of those platforms, and that kind of thing. But if you do have that specific niche and that type of client, then meet them where they are. And just coming away from that for a second, you know, like think about the last time that you and amongst your friends and that kind of thing, and perhaps in a WhatsApp group or whatever it is, sent each other a video that was longer than about 2 minutes long, or longer than 90 seconds long, or in a lot of cases longer than 60 seconds long. That tends to be very rare now. A lot of the stuff that people send to each other 30 seconds long, is 45 seconds long, is 60 seconds long. And short form content is really taking over. So the way that people are congesting that content, bringing it in now, it's completely different. These long form stuff is sort of going away, and the short form stuff is here to stay, I think. As you know, we've seen all this, I'm sure you've seen all the stats around attention spans, all this kind of thing as well, all going way down throughout all the generations. So short form content for the win is where I firmly sit on that. Just coming away from video for a second, blogging. So one of the clients we work with, they are currently generating 80 new leads a month, but just from one blog. So they generate about 120 new leads a month. It's a 3-person firm. So there's 2 advisors and 1 operations manager within that firm. And they outsource the admin and the paraplanning. They generate 120 leads a month. There's 80 new leads come from just one blog on their website. And it's a highly specialized niche blog that they've written about RSUs. And it's aimed at employees of tech firms. So when they come into tech firms, they obviously don't understand that they're getting these shares and what they're worth and how to deal with them, this kind of thing. It's a really common Google question. They caught onto this. So they've written this one blog. It's about a 10-minute read. It's quite a long read, but it's SEO'd up to the eyeballs. And it's been within their proposition now for about 2 years or so. And because it's had that amount of time and familiarity with Google and the amount of hits, and that 80 new leads a month just come from that. So they've now got a business where basically most of those leads get farmed out to other places because they can't deal with them. The business that they run, they want to be a lifestyle business. They don't want to take on loads of advisors, all this kind of thing. But actually now it's getting to a place where a large portion of the income that they make is leads that they pass out to other advisors. So that can be done from just one really high quality, highly specialized niche blog again. But blogging is a different beast. It takes time. It really does take time. It takes, you know, a good 12 to 18 months to build up a real bank, to get properly ranked within Google and all the rest of it. It's a real commitment. It's something that shouldn't be taken lightly. It's something you have to be consistent at. But if you're willing to show up and to go at it, hey, look, these things work, right? Let me give you some more from some of the other firms that we're working with. Just made a few notes here. Webinars, yeah. So I really like webinars and the way that firms can run them properly in terms of leveraging other people's audiences. So if you're in a position where, you know, it's, and by the way, the first webinar I ever did, I think 3 people turned up, but people aren't to know that because you run it on webinar software where you can't see where people turn. It isn't like this room where I can see everybody's faces and all the rest of it. It's one, you can run it on a piece of software where nobody can see how many people turned up. And I remember doing that first webinar and 3 people turning up. And you can sit there and say, it's great to see you all. and this kind of thing. And you can create that atmosphere of there are people watching. That isn't fibbing, by the way. It was great to see them all. There was just all three of them. That's all. And I remember doing that first webinar and thinking, this is really good content. More people should see this. And how can I get this in front of more people? How can I get a bigger audience next time? And the way to do that was to leverage other people and to leverage guests. So, for example, the next one I did, I brought a life coach onto. And what that meant was that life coach also invited their audience. The next one I brought a solicitor onto. Guess what they did? They also invited their audience, etc. And that's how you get these other audiences into your mail list, because you're controlling that space, you're controlling that webinar, and all of a sudden, all of these people are coming into your mailing lists. Now, once you've got an email address for these people, that's where really I think the magic happens in terms of building out funnels. And like you'll have signed up for something before, a newsletter or whatever else, and then you get an email day 1, an email day 2, and you might get one day 5, etc., 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 etc. And as soon as you've got that email address, you can then send them into the funnel, send them into the automations and that kind of thing, until they eventually one day become a client. Because as we all know, everybody who comes to see us as advisors and the like, or gets in touch and the rest of it, sometimes it's not the right time when they see your content. Sometimes it's that they want to build this relationship with you now, but they're not quite sure until a little bit further down the line when the time is right. They might have stumbled across your stuff from a friend or whatever else, and then that life event might happen that brings them to you. But it's staying in front of them, staying relevant, and funnels allow you to do that effectively. So I would do that to leverage, and some of the firms we work with, we do it to basically, we say, okay, who are the biggest people that you know in terms of reach, and get them onto a webinar with you, and you make them the star of the show and not yourself the star of the show. You don't have to be the star of the show. That's absolutely cool, because you're then that connector, like that whole Dale Carnegie thing of being a connector and all the rest of it, right? Like, you're the person that has brought these audiences and these people together. You're the person in the know, and that gives you that sort of gravitas and that standing, to be able to be a person of influence with those clients. So building out funnels and building out that strategy after webinars is so key in terms of like the things that go out to them, how you keep them warm, like so just at the right time, they're there and they're seeing you front and center to go, that's the person that does that. I'm going to go see them. The same goes with email funnels as well. If people ever sign up for blogs and the rest of it, again, building those funnels out too. But all of these things have something in common. And actually all of these things, and on top of this, a podcast as well that a firm have built that they're doing really well from, that they sort of leverage out. The one thing all these things have in common is video. So even the blog, even the webinar, even the emails, all the rest of it, the one thing that they have in common is video. And the reason I say that is, in this age, in terms of AI and all the tools and everything that's out there, there are some unbelievably incredible tools out there. I could do another thing on just tools on AI, right? That we sort of use. It all starts from video. It all starts from getting in a studio for a day, being filmed, sitting in front of a camera for hours, talking nonsense, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. And by the way, some of the best watched clips are always the sort of B-reels and all the rest of it, right? But like getting in front of that camera, and then you can chop it up into Insta content, into TikTok content, into YouTube shorts, into webinars, into podcasts, into blogs. So there's tools like Cast Magic that will help you turn stuff into podcasts. You've got other tools like Swell, where it's like that'll help you turn video into blogs. So it'll effectively watch the video and turn it into a series of blogs and that kind of thing. These AI tools can write your hooks, they can write your email funnels, they can write your webinar funnels, they can write absolutely everything. But it all starts from video. It all starts from filming the long form content, filming that, and then getting everything to a place where, yeah, we can chop that, do that, turn that into that. And it's just become this thing now where if you create that centralized piece of content, there's so many ways in which you can distribute it so easily now. and building this alongside some kind of CRM that fits it all in and all this kind of stuff. So those are, I guess, some of the niche ways that people are adding more AUM. Just to touch on a couple of others as well. One we've seen happening really well recently is client communities. So you all have these wonderful practices, right, with great clients. And I would probably go as far to say, because I know from my client bank, a lot of the clients have more similarities than what sets them apart. A lot of them have similar interests. A lot of them are perhaps of the same age profile, or at the same stages in life, whether that be kids have gone off to uni or whatever it is. And we work with a couple of firms to build out communities, because obviously that's what we've done in our business. That community of 2000, sorry, is just one second. So we've built out client communities for people. So effectively a financial planning firm of XYZ wealth management or whatever else, but a client community. So a place where clients can all talk to one another, can organize stuff between them. So we've seen clients organize walks, organize days out, things like that, because actually a lot of these people want to be and talk with people like themselves, as I'm sure much of us do here. But it really creates that sort of sense of community. Especially works really well when people are localized as well. And you effectively give them all a code for them to invite friends into the community and people who aren't clients. And of course, what that builds is then new prospects, all the rest of it. And they see, that sets you apart from any other firm right from the off, right? If you are offering a client community where people can invite friends in, and we do all these activities, we do a monthly walk, we do this, like we used to do one where we sponsored the fleeces of the walking club, and we like created our own walking club and all this kind of stuff. And those client communities can work really, really well. And it's a really interesting way to do that. We used our community to the effect where we actually raised £250,000 from our community for some investment into our business and that kind of thing as well. But we did that with relative ease, I'll be honest, like pretty easily, because we built such a tight-knit community. Like it wasn't a difficult thing to bring these people on a journey with us, because we had built up this massive trust within this space, but also had like it's I don't know, it's this kind of thing where what that then created was, because we had, I think it was 107 investors, like we did it via a small piece of our community, via almost like a crowdfund, and what that created for us is 107 marketers. So those people are now going to go out and talk about us, and now it's in their interest to go and do that. And there's opportunities there to do things like that as well. But the last thing that I'll just leave you with, so I know I don't like keeping people over time. I know we're short time, but I don't like keeping people over time. Is just a hire that I saw recently that I thought was really interesting. I've never seen this hire in a firm before. But this is a 2-person firm, advisor, administrator, and their third hire is a micro influencer. There you go. So I never thought I'd be started 2 years ago on a call saying that somebody's third hire was a micro influencer. And what that effectively means, by the way, is it's somebody who basically, so they work with YouTubers and gamers their target client. So people who make money on platforms like Twitch, on YouTube, these kind of things, who broadcast content to the world, playing video games, which is, an extraordinary thing in itself, people watching people playing video games. But they basically went to a university where they did a talk, and they talked to somebody about their love of it. They got talking to somebody about their love of video games, all this kind of stuff, and effectively hired this person on a relatively low budget, and basically said, you have some budget here, you have X amount a month to go out to these platforms and just basically create content and try and become an influencer within that space. So they're in that process at the moment. I'm not sure how that's going, but that's the process that they're going through. And I thought, what a brilliant idea that is, to actually create somebody in that space who will have some standing, some gravitas, some sort of connected key personal influence kind of person, and to bring leads into their business. So I just thought that was a really interesting hire that I've seen recently. Just thought it was an amazingly different idea, and a pretty niche way for them to add more AUM to their business. But look, I think I'm 5 minutes early there, which is good. So hopefully I can give you a bit of time back for your mornings, and look, I appreciate you listening to me ramble on for a cold and my northern tones.
Rohan, thank you very much. There's a huge amount of stuff in there, I've got to say. I'm not a tech phobe, so I'm quite happy to dive in with all that stuff. But I'm sure there's a few people thinking, flipping hell, Rohan's given us so much stuff there. Where do I begin? So without sort of going into detail about which one, what strategy to follow, because clearly it would be very difficult to follow all of them simultaneously. What would your advice be to somebody that wants to go in, start using some of those techniques, strategies? What would you say to them in terms of getting that ball rolling and starting doing something that they're not already doing today?
Okay.
Put you on the spot there, haven't I?
No, it's fine. It's just that whole, you have to start at the start. You've just got to be really clear about who you're serving, first of all. As soon as you start trying to be all things to all people, this stuff just gets really, really muddled. Because you just have, the content gets so broad and is difficult to do. So be really clear on your audience. I always say go to where your audience hang out. If you're targeting, post retirees, perhaps in their 60s, this kind of thing, you're probably not going to go to TikTok for your content. You might not think that that's a great platform for you or whatever else. But if you're looking at those YouTubers, gamers, musicians, whatever else, then that might be a different space to go. So you have to meet your audience where they are. Absolutely. Again, the big thing for me is just get a videographer in, get in a studio, just do a day of filming. It's awkward. A lot of people hate it, but it's the start of it. It's what gets these things going. It's you have to produce all that stuff beforehand in terms of like what the content strategy is, the things that you're going to talk about on the day, all this kind of stuff. But it just gets to a place that once you've done a day of that, we're confident as an organization, we can go in the studio for one day and we can probably do 3 to 6 months of content in one day. Like that's all we have to commit for 3 to 6 months of content, because we can chop it up into its various forms. So yeah, but you just have to start with who you're serving.
And I think it goes without saying, know who you're serving, but know what their problem is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And have a solution.
100%. Yeah, I've just been working with an asset management firm, actually. It's funny. So they send out these really, really cool blogs that advisors really like. I obviously won't say who they are. But like the advisors really, really like, and got a great NPS score on all this. And my challenge to them was, what problems that's solving? I said it's brilliant. It's brilliantly written. I love reading it. But what problem is it solving? And they couldn't really answer it. And I'm like, well, that's why it's not perhaps resonating into business or into whatever else, because you're not solving a problem. It's just a really nice thing to read. So,
and do you think that whatever content you're doing, at the end of that content piece, there should be some kind of call to action? Not necessarily, I don't mean book a call or a meeting, but ask the client to do something. Would you think that you would do that in every piece of content, as opposed to just putting content out for the sake of it?
Absolutely, yeah. So they all need to have some kind of call to action as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the content. It can be in comments at the bottom. It can be around the content, that kind of thing. But having that, you need to have that sort of clear step from when people watch this and go, so what's next? So yeah, the call to action, you're absolutely right, has to always be there. I've got a few direct messages and stuff coming up in my thing here. Do you want me to answer any of these?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Is that all
I'll
right?
cut you off if you're going on too long.
That's all right. No. The name of the blog that I mentioned, yeah. So they're a firm called Fraser James down in the southwest, and you'll see it if you type in. I think if you type in like RSUs Fraser James, you'll see it on there. That's that blog I mentioned that gets them about 80 new leads a month. Somebody asked about communities. What platform do we use? We use a platform called Mighty Networks. It's absolutely brilliant. it's ridiculously cheap as well. Like I think it's maybe like 1,500 quid a year or something like that. It's not a lot. You just need to know how to format it and do it properly and to create that client community. But it's amazing. You can upload video, create events, all this kind of thing. It's really, really good. Someone's just said thank you for sharing. Hope you feel better soon. I appreciate that. That's lovely. And then final one here, audit service, where we look at a firm, gaps, recommendations. Yeah, certainly. Yeah. We can do all that. So yeah, all cool.
So just give me 60 seconds. What does NextGen do if anybody wants to reach out to you?
Yeah, we're just all about, we are a growth platform. So whether that's personal, whether that's business. So for anybody that's wanting to grow their firms, we offer completely free level 4 training, first of all, for any trainees or anything else. So we're training 920 people through the ROs at the moment, the biggest training provider in the UK. We help people launch businesses, help people scale businesses, help them, we have like 20 odd episodes on just lead generation. We've probably got the biggest over 200 hours of CPD content, tools, all this other stuff. AI, we teach people how to go from 0 to hero in terms of AI as well. So right from the start, right through to being an expert on it. But we're all about personal growth as well. We have meal plans, workout plans, all this kind of stuff within the platform too. It's good to see a few faces here that I recognize as well. So people like Chris and like Carla and stuff who are members, and clients too. And look, it's a great place to be for the future of the profession, all that kind of thing. So if you're into growing yourself, growing your firm, all that kind of stuff, it's like 15 quid a month. So there you are.
Well, thank you very much, Rohan. A lot of teasers there for some of the younger members and some of the old guys like me. There's always something to learn. Okay, so we have about just less than 10 minutes left. We're going to end up finishing before 9, which is good. Just a bit of a left turn here. I'd like to talk a little bit about what the MDRT community does for the wider world. It's not just an organization to help us be better at being advisors. It also raises a huge amount of money for worthy causes worldwide. So I'm going to hand over to Toby Turner, who's going to talk to you for a few minutes about what's been going on recently in the MDRT Foundation. Over to you, Toby.
Morning. Cheers, Martin. Just obviously conscious of time, so I won't be long, I'll make this quick. But I just want to quickly share with you the incredible work of the $1 Million Roundtable Foundation. So many of us know the MDRT as the Premier Association for Financial Professionals, but beyond its excellence in our profession, there lies its philanthropic side. So the MDRT Foundation. Now, there's going to be a few facts and figures thrown in here, but I think it really just serves to highlight the real impact the foundation has had worldwide. So the MDRT Foundation, established in 1959, so that was the foundation that really embodies the commitment of MDRT members to give back to communities worldwide. It's built on the principle that success is not only measured by professional achievements, but also by the positive impact that we make on each other, on others. The foundation is funded by generous donations of MDRT members, corporate partners, and supporters who believe in making a difference. So the foundation supports a diverse range of charitable organisations across the globe. Its grants benefit non-profits dedicated to causes such as education, health and well-being, disaster relief, children and families. By partnering with MDRT members who champion these causes in their local communities, the foundation ensures that resources are directed to organisations that create lasting change. The impact of the foundation is absolutely amazing. So since its inception, the foundation has awarded over $44.5 million in grants to more than 2,000 charities in more than 70 countries. Every year, the foundation distributes grants that range from a few $1,000s to substantial funding for large-scale projects, amplifying the charitable work of MDRT members worldwide. So in 2024 alone, the foundation awarded 406 grants totaling $1.9 million supporting charitable programs in over 40 countries. Human services, mental health, and children's causes being the highest percentage of funding areas. Personally, I was awarded a $10,000 grant in January 2024 for Camp Possibilities International, which seeks to fund the construction and installation of toilets for use by the students at the Karara Special School for Blind Learners in Bomet County in Kenya. More recently, Michael Boone, who's also on the call today, was awarded $10,000 for Molly Ollies, a UK-based charity supporting children with life-threatening illnesses. In 2024, there were 3,213 individual donors who donated a total of $1.3 million. For those of us at the annual meeting in Vancouver last year, you'll recall the incredible grant awarded on main platform to Letters to Strangers for $252,664. They're now the largest global youth-run non-profit organisation looking to destigmatise mental illness and increase access to affordable, quality treatment, particularly for the youth. So how can you get involved? Well, supporting the foundation is easy and rewarding. MDRT members and supporters can contribute in several ways. Donations, simple but powerful way to ensure the foundation continues its mission, and also volunteering, which many members actively participate in service projects. The MDRT Foundation is a testament to the generosity and commitment of MDRT members in transforming lives. It is more than just a charity, it's a global movement that reflects the heart of our profession, which is helping others. Whether through donations, volunteering, simply spreading awareness, we all have the power to contribute to such a meaningful cause. For those of you on the call that are not yet MDRT members or don't know too much about the foundation, you can apply for a grant for a cause close to your heart, which is an added benefit of being an MDRT member. Now, many of you know that I currently serve on the MDRT committee, on the foundation committee, and have been involved in MDRT Gives Day on the 26th of March, a day dedicated to fundraising worldwide for the foundation. So myself and Helen West, who's also on the call, we will set a goal to raise $30,000 in one day. Together we surpassed that goal, and that is down to the generosity of many of you on the call today. Together we raised over $35,115 going towards a total amount raised of $422,924 from 2,211 worldwide donors in just one day. If you did not get a chance to donate but would like to, I will put a link in the chat for you. But I'd just like to take this opportunity to finish by thanking you all who donated once again for your generosity to make it possible. It really does help us to make a difference. Thank you.
Thanks, Toby. Great to hear how MDR Foundation is helping a lot of people. Just going to bring the meeting to a close very shortly. Just a reminder, next month, MDRT Speaks UK style. We will have 8 speakers that are going to share a top tip with you on how they are running a better practice, which might be making more time for themselves or writing more business, whatever you want to do. So we're going to have 8 speakers on for that. Just one other final piece of business, throwing you in at the deep end here, Chris, a little bit. Chris and I are jointly not writing the same book, but we are both on the journey to write a book that will be for the benefit of our clients. So we're both holding each other to account. And if any of you are interested in writing a book, reach out to me or Chris. I think you know the strategy now and the methodology, Chris. It'd be great to see more financial advisors out there writing books, because I wrote a book a number of years ago which went to all my clients, which was massively appreciated. So brochures are brilliant, books are even better. So there is a very cost-effective way of writing books now. It doesn't have to cost a fortune, but believe me, it will have a great impact on your clients and beyond. So if you are interested, reach out to me or Chris about book writing. I'm just reading somebody's comment there. I'm trying to write a book at the moment on Phil Calvert's group. Thank you, Jonathan. So yeah, if anybody's interested, reach out to either of us. It's 5 to the hour, and in the reverse vein of MDRT, in the on time is late, early is on time. we're going to finish 5 minutes early so that you guys can get on with your day and go out there and do what you do with your clients, and make sure you don't work too hard. Work like Simon, not 60 to 80 hours a week, few less hours, but good morning to you all, and I hope you have a good day. Cheers, everyone.
See you in Miami.
Indeed.